Our responsibility is to put the best umpire on the field, plain and simple.
There is no shortage of people that want to be baseball umpires. I don't know why, it doesn't make any sense to me, but there is no shortage. People want to do this. Now the question remains, how long do you want to do it, and what are you willing to do for it? So if you go to a camp or a clinic because you think some coordinator really wants you there because he wants your money, that's maybe his deal, it's not ours. What we're doing is we're investing in the future.
It's about what you think you are. You have to start thinking that you're a college umpire. You have to have that mindset. I'm a college umpire.
Bottom line is, if you have a little bit of insecurity about you today, and that's why you're here, that's a good thing. If you have a little bit of insecurity, maybe 10 years from now when you think you've made it and you're on a conference staff, and you think you no longer have to train, that's bad. You need to have that then, just like you need to have it now, because that's when you're most vulnerable. This program is going to continue to get better. We are going to continue to layer more and more stuff on top of it. The basics are never going to stay the basics. Once we build a basis, then every year we're going to find ways to improve it. By the time we're done, if we're ever done, there's going to be more icing on that cake than cake. And right now we have more icing on that cake than cake. If you compare what we're teaching here to the CCA manual, there's nothing wrong with CCA manual, but if you compare what we teach, the level of detail there, it would take a freaking several volumes of encyclopedia to teach the CCA manual if they had to do our program, the level of detail.
My number one responsibility is to put the best available umpire on the field. That's what I'm held accountable to.
I went to the Florida camp. I started in 2003, I think it was. I went to 7 or 8 straight camps. I mean, I remember one time John looked at me like on the 8th year, goes, "Jim, why are you here?" I said, "Well, I like umpire." And I went to 8 straight. I went to about 8 straight camps, and then about towards the latter part of that, I started doing the training for the high school, our high school level and stuff like that, and just kept on doing that. I love umpiring. You know, it doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm 58 years old right now, and it's more about not so much, you know, your chronological age. It's about what's in here in terms of your attitude, in terms of do you love it, do you like it. If you love it and like it, it really doesn't matter what level of umpire you do.
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, because you enjoy baseball.
There isn't an umpire out there that doesn't think that he should get a better schedule than what he's getting, or that doesn't think he's better than he's perceived to be. Everybody's that way. That's good. But now, once you lose that insecurity, you stop working, because every single year we're adding more and more stuff, and every single year the standards are raising. So come train because you really want to be good. Don't come train because you really think that it's going to help you get somewhere. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Be good, that's what takes care of you. Then you go out and work the best game that you can, knowing that you're the best umpire you can be. Don't worry about what level you're working. Worry more about who you're working with. Watch him, learn from him, learn from camp, and never, ever, ever sit back and take anything for granted.
See, a lot of people think I'm going to get college baseball, great. I'm going to go down here, I'm going to work this conference game, then I'm going to go home. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. It takes time, it takes commitment, it takes dedication, but above all, it takes sacrifice.
And it's more about, and you've heard Darren say this, you've heard John say this, it's almost more about who you want to work with. I mean, I told Darren yesterday, I said, "Hey, can I go in your software and pick out who I want to work with?" I mean, I'd rather go to a weekend or go to a game and go with 2 guys that I enjoy working with, and to me, that's the fun of it. And then we actually get paid to do that.
When I was in my glory days of umpiring, which are gone, I was working in 3 different conferences, all right? And there were guys that I was working with that in this conference that I loved to work with. They were great umpires, loved to hang out with them, but they weren't in this conference, all right, or this conference. So it was always, I had people in each conference that I loved being with, loved working with. And when you get with one crew for an entire season, then you miss out. Because there are some of these guys in this conference over here, the only time I would ever see them is that weekend one weekend we were working. That'd be the only time we ever see them for an entire year. All right? So that's why, that's part of the building the relationships part. That's why you come to the camps to be good and get good, so that you can go and work with a lot of good umpires and a lot of good people, and not just settle down for 2 or 3 different guys. You don't want the 3-hour job, you want the 24-hour job. That's the job you're here to get. That's the mentality you need to have. And when Jim's sitting there saying, I want to work with this guy and I want to work with this guy, he's not talking about just the 3 hours. He's talking about the 24 hours he's going to be with that person that day.
In The Wizard of Oz, you had a scarecrow who followed the yellow brick road because he didn't think he was smart enough. He needed a brain. So he ran into Dorothy and Toto and followed the yellow brick road, finally got to the city of Oz, met the wizard, and explained his problem to the wizard, that he needed a brain. And he was insecure and didn't think much of himself and didn't make any impact on anything other than just being a good guy. And all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, the wizard basically said, look, you know, you're really smart. You don't need me to tell you you're smart. You know, all you need is a diploma, you know, as evidence that you're smart, but you don't really need it. I'm not giving you anything. So he gave him his diploma and he said to him, he said, you're really smart. Go out and be smart. And that's kind of like Jim. He started later, and somewhere along the line, he got really smart. He kind of knew it. And then people like Darren and I said, Jim, you're really smart. And look what he's done. He's blossomed a lot because of that. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of cool.